We've got a great interview for you today. We've got Aryk Snowberger, owner of Snowby Custom Tile out of Akron, Ohio. This was a great conversation, tile friends. Hello, tile friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Tile Money Podcast. This is the podcast that is strengthening the tile industry. We're doing this with our weekly business discussions and education designed for contractors by contractors. This education is assisting tile contractors around the world to build sustainable, profitable businesses. The result? A stronger industry from the installer up. Just the way it should be, just the way it has to be. Today, we've got another great discussion lined up for you. I was able to catch up with Aryk Snowberger. Aryk Snowberger is a younger contractor. He's a younger installer. He has an interesting background. He got into it later in life. He got out of it, and then he got back into it. You're going to really appreciate this interview, friends. He shared a lot of insights, even though as a younger man at 30 years of age, he has a lot figured out, and he's very balanced, and he's hustling hard, and it was very motivational to hear him speak about business, life, marriage, the whole 9 yards, just outlook in general. I really enjoyed it, and I know you're going to enjoy it as well. Before we get to the interview, I do want to take a minute to thank the sponsors of the show. These are the sponsors that are making it so that I can focus on Tile Money and focus on these interviews and focus on building out some more resources for you, the tile contractor, which we have been doing. The NTCA, the National Tile Contractors Association, is a proud sponsor of ours, and that can be one of your most valuable resources as a tile contractor. They are the oldest. They're going to be celebrating 75 years in 2022. The oldest and the largest association for tile contractors. You know, with that 75 years of experience, they can really answer any question you have in the field, and they know who to put you in touch with, whether you're looking for solutions to complicated problems in the field, or you just want an introduction to an expert in a specific field of tile. Whatever the case might be, the NTCA has your back. The members that I've been meeting are some of the most profitable and professional tile contractors out there. Join for the community and the camaraderie and the experience. You can talk to Jim Olson today. Reach out to him on Facebook to learn more about what the NTCA can do for your business. Crete International, another sponsor of ours. Crete is one of the leading innovators in the tile installation materials world. Literally credited with inventing thin set and winning the World Trade Center contract for providing that lightweight solution to build the world's tallest buildings at the time. Crete is a family-run, privately held company with family values that you can feel whether you're talking to your reps in the field, all the way up to the family members that are still working in the business. I love it. I met two new family members, younger family members that are working hard in the business at Total Solutions Plus. We had a great conversation. We're able to connect on several levels. So Crete provides everything you need to install tile. From the waterproofing down to the grout and silicone and thin set, it is a one-stop manufacturing company for tile contractors. GoBoard is another sponsor of ours. GoBoard is an innovative tile backer board manufactured by Johns Manville, a very old, very large construction company manufacturer. Discover the possibilities with this easy to cut and handle waterproof lightweight product. It's very durable also. Carry more boards in one trip. You can seal those joint and fastener penetrations using GoBoard Pro Sealant to achieve ANSI A118.1 compliant installations. GoBoard Pro Sealant is now available in the 20-ounce sausage packs. Ask your distributor to bring them in if they don't have them already. Prep is everything, and with GoBoard, you can get some solid prep under your tile. Waterproof, ready. Ready to tile. Learn more at jm.com/GoBoard. HappyTileGuy.com is our last sponsor. I am a part owner of HappyTileGuy.com. That is where tile contractors are getting professional websites fully built, SEO optimized for lead generation. That is really what I like to call your online hub for your business. That is that is the only thing on the internet that you really own other than a blog site or your own website. All these social media platforms that a lot of you are using to generate leads and you're relying on them. As we've seen earlier this year with Facebook, they went down for a whole day. That can happen with any of them. You don't own it. You don't control it. Your website, you control. You own all the rewards and you reap the benefits for yours. You can get really good at these other social media platforms, which is definitely, I'm not telling you to get off of them. You should definitely utilize it, but you should be pointing people back at your website. It's the professional presence in this day and age. It's part of the package, part of the sales process, and part of the process of people who are searching for a contractor. All right. Without further ado, let's get to this great conversation with Aryk. I know you're all going to enjoy this one. So first of all, Aryk, I want to thank you for, your willingness to be a guest on the podcast. I have a mastermind group, which you were participated in last month or the month, maybe it was in September, I think. So we still have that group going, and there's about 50 of us in there. And I asked that group if anybody was available today, because I took 2 weeks off. I went to Total Solutions Plus, and I had some other things I had to, take care of. So this is the first podcast in 2 weeks. So I'm really thankful that you came in and were willing to be a guest. And then we had a brief discussion before we started recording. And man, what a story. I'm excited to be able to interview you and have this discussion, because you are a younger contractor and you've kind of been dealing with a lot of, the same BS as all the contractors in the last couple of years. But what's interesting is the way you view things. I really appreciate your viewpoint. So tell you what, I'll shut up. And why don't you give everybody, introduce yourself, Aryk, and tell everybody your 30,000 foot story of how you got to be owner of Snowby Custom Tile.
Well, thanks for having me. Aryk Snowberger, owner of Snowby Custom Tile since January. I first started in tile in 2015 as a laborer for a small high-end tile company in Northeast Ohio. The owner was a 67-year-old fourth-generation tile setter. So he really knew his way around. And the couple other guys that laid tile for him had been with him for 20 years or so. So the wealth of knowledge was just massive. And, I started off as just a laborer. They were just looking for a guy, that could read a tape, essentially. Mm-hmm. And my first job was in Gates Mills, Ohio, one of the most, high-end communities in our area. So right from the very beginning, I wasn't born into this. I started as a firefighter, and an EMT. So I was, coming in and just wanted to find somewhere to work hard. I had switched careers, a little of a pivot to construction.
Was this your first construction trade?
So I worked for a remodeling company for about 6 months as a laborer, just doing minor, carrying stuff all day, but doing a little bit of drywall, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, minor parts of everything.
You got to see a few different trades.
Correct. So I did, and I ended up finding that this company was looking for an apprentice. So I went and started working with them, and I just enjoyed it right from the very beginning, because they were a company that really seemed like they cared a lot about what they were doing and how they were doing it. And coming from fire and EMS, where things are a lot different, obviously, in that realm, than in construction. So I didn't really know what to expect. And, here I was in mansions, basically huge, massive houses, where the expectation levels from my first day were very high. So I was like, okay, I like this. Let's do it. Let's see where this can go. And, I enjoyed it. I did it for about 2 years at a high level, in my opinion. I started making good money, started giving me raises and more responsibilities. And eventually, I was doing everything but literally sticking the tile, making all the cuts and, everything like that. I wasn't able to do mud pans, or set very much tile. That was basically it. They did all of that. But, I got a really good education. I really watched them like a hawk.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's name was Chad that I worked with, most days. And I just went to work every day with a mindset that I was going to learn something today. I was going to ask questions. I was going to figure out why are they doing it the way they were. And honestly, I didn't know why. I expected to be a firefighter and
Mm-hmm.
an EMT for my career. I didn't expect to be a tile installer. So while I was paying close attention, I didn't exactly know where it was going to go. I didn't know
Sure.
if I was going to be a tile installer one day. I really wasn't sure. I had a young kid. I was just trying to do the best I could and get by and learn. And learn. I never want to just go to work and feel like I'm just going through the motions. I feel like if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna put my best foot forward, and that's what I did. And the company appreciated it, and it went well. I actually started getting like carpal tunnel type problems, so I ended up leaving tile and
Mm-hmm.
went and started cooking. And those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook, I kind of delved into the culinary world and became a pretty high end cook until
Mm-hmm.
COVID.
Yeah.
COVID decimated the restaurant industry, and a buddy of mine had a flipping business, and my brother also asked me, hey, can you tile my shower for me? And I said, okay, I'll give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed up, and I started thinking back to all the things that I seen Chad and Dave and the other tile setter do, and I was able to remember all of it,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I tiled the shower in a few days, and it was plumb, it was square, it was waterproof, it looked good. I grouted it up, I siliconed it, and I was like, man, I might be able to do this. For the first time, I hadn't really had much chance to set tile.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I can do this. I had done art and made tables and wall art and stuff while I was cooking to kind of keep one foot, in the tile world,
Okay.
because the artisan side of it is honestly the part that I enjoy the most anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I started doing tile again and realized, hey, I can really remember what these guys were doing. And these were highly skilled guys. So it's
Yeah.
like, because I paid such close attention to what they were doing, I was able to remember that. And it wasn't just that. I mean, like I told you before we started talking, I started becoming friends with all of the local tile guys in my area in Northeast Ohio, which is a hotbed for really good tile installers. And I thought to myself, look, I don't know it all. I haven't done it all. These guys have done a lot and
Mm-hmm.
know a lot. So
Yeah.
let me surround myself with people that are smarter than me, more experienced than me. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to tell a customer, hey, I'm not comfortable doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Here's somebody that is,
Yeah.
because I'm transparency is one of my biggest values, as far as my how I live my life and how I run my company. So I started getting knowledge from all these people. I started watching, as cliche as it is, and some of you might laugh, I learned a lot on YouTube from guys like Sal de Blasio, and several other really qualified and solid tile installers. And it really just cemented what I had already learned
Mm-hmm.
from the guys that I learned tile from in the first place. I was like, okay, I remember this. I remember doing this and helping with this. So it wasn't like I was completely brand new to it. I just literally didn't do the act of setting the tile,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
often. But man, it came fast and furious. I started working with my buddy at his kitchen and bath company for probably 4 months or so, basically like August to December, the last quarter of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I made $27 an hour, as a 1099, just I clocked in on an app when I got into work and
Mm-hmm.
clocked out. And, with COVID, I have 3 kids, 8, 6, and 3. And
Yeah.
it was a whirlwind of, no school and,
Mm-hmm.
at home school, digital school, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went to my buddy and I said, look, man, I'm sorry, but I want to do all of your tile work, but I can't I can't have you controlling my schedule anymore. I have to be, I can't have you counting on me to be somewhere next week when my school doesn't know if they're going to be returning back from Christmas break or not. You know, I can't have that on me. So I'm like, we got to do this differently. I'm going to
too much uncertainty. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, I'm going to bet on myself, which I've always done. You know, I have a very strong woman, you know, behind me that allows me to make that possible.
Yeah.
And I decided I'm going to file for an LLC. I'm going to really dive into that side and start my own business and just see where it goes. You know, I'm strong-willed. I have a lot of passion and a lot of motivation. So I knew that it would be successful. I didn't expect things to go as well as they have, but things are going well. And you know, I owe it really to the people that I kind of surrounded myself with, and to the people I learned tile from, you know, in the beginning. But I'm just trying to do things the right way, you know, to be honest. And you know, I'm still pretty new to it. I've only been installing. I've had my company since January, and I've installed a lot of tile this year. You know, and I've grown tremendously, you know, in all aspects of tile, and of business and customer service, you know, and all of those things. So that's very exciting, as I'm only 30. Yeah, I have plenty of time to get better and to learn, you know, and to do it, you know, for my kids and in front of my kids. And that was one of the things, you know, we talked about, as I recently looped my wife in, you know, to the business, and she now works with me since August. So a couple of months now.
Well, before we get into that, I just want to slow down a minute. And, you know, first of all, it is a fast ascension to, you know, being a business owner, LLC. But I would have never guessed. I mean, I've been following you, you know, like you said, since about COVID, you know, for the last 1.5, 2 years, when you've really been active in the groups. And like I said, you know, you paid for our mastermind. You showed up, I think it was at 8 to 10 every night, 5 days in a row. You asked questions, you participated. So, and yes, you've been showing your work on both Instagram, you know, listeners, if you want to follow Snowbee or Aryk, it's at Snowbee with 2 E's on Snowbee _custom_tile_LLC. Check out Aryk's work. He's really doing some incredible stuff, and you can find him on Facebook as well with the same name. Drop the LLC at the end. Snowbee Custom Tile. You know, I was gonna say it's just incredible because, like you said, together with your early apprenticeship. And the way you approached that and really took it seriously, even though you didn't know if this was going, and in fact, you left because of, you know, health concerns. You didn't know that if this was really your path, but I want to commend you. And really something that I can apply in my life is when you're presented with an opportunity to learn, and it is your job anyway, you know, dive into it, take notes, take mental notes, take physical notes, because then afterwards, you didn't know where life was nobody could have predicted that. I mean, here you found another passion, which sounds pretty incredible, being able to make beautiful food, which you do. And it is, I can feel that passion because I like, you know, I just do it as a hobby and as a, you know, nothing on your level, but it's fun, right?
It is.
And then something disrupted your life again, and you found an opportunity. Hey, all these tile contractors I know are really busy right now. So you jump back in, you're able to, you know, not only take from your earlier apprenticeship knowledge, but then fortify that with, like you said, watching guys on YouTube like Sal DeBlasi and others, and talking to local, you know. Now, when did you start getting involved locally? Was that even when you were a chef or cooking, or was that basically since the start of the pandemic and you wanted to get, you know, you decided to pivot back into this? Is that when you started reaching out to people?
Yes. So basically, once I did my brother's shower and I thought to myself, you know, hey, I can probably do this. And my buddy, you know, started giving me some opportunities to do some tile for his young company.
Sure.
And, I went on Facebook and I said, you know what, I want to find who the professional guys are in my area. I didn't know exactly how to go about doing that. I thought to myself, I can go to Virginia Tile, I can go to Dow Tile, the places where I had picked up material from as a laborer, in the past. But I thought, I'll check Facebook. I'll see what I can find on there. Our phones, the internet's right there. So I looked it up on Facebook, and honestly, it wasn't very easy to find tile groups. It wasn't easy to
Really?
it wasn't very easy to find ones where guys were posting, quality work.
Yeah.
And so I eventually found Tile Mafia and Global Tile Posse. We're all familiar, and I found out, which guys were in my area. Robert Engel, Paul, Timothy Bell, Angel Melendez, Jimmy Gladney, Justin Cooper. There were so many solid guys, and you couple that with, Jim Richards, and, there was even times I hit up, Robert Davis and Sean McLeod, we all know.
Yeah.
All these people have been so gracious with their time and their knowledge. And, right from the beginning, I was like, I'm going to surround myself with people that know more than me and just see what happens. And that's exactly what I did. And I just took it really seriously. I feel like, I'm from, inner city Akron, Ohio, where if you want to do anything in life, you got to grind. And so many people I know, they grinded for a while and nothing happened for them. And they just kind of plateaued, and I've always looked at it like I'm going to keep my head down and I'm going to keep grinding until opportunities, present themselves. And then I'm going to take advantage of them to the best of my ability. And that's exactly what I did, and it started with surrounding myself with people that were more experienced and knew more than me. And eventually they were, gracious, and then that turned into them respecting, what I was doing, and then I thought to myself, like, I want to be able to post my work and it be respected at the level of, all these amazing installers. There's so many of them, and it's really cool to see how many talented people there really are, especially in our trade. And it really was just kind of incredible. So many of them were willing to take me under their wing, give me advice on pricing, give me advice on, all of it, on how to go about it, what systems to use, where to get products, reps, all the people, have pointed me in the right direction as far as reps go. And, they've all been gracious with their time. And, it all started with, getting on Facebook, in the very beginning, and kind of surrounding myself and kind of forcing myself to do work to a certain level, because I didn't want to be, you see how people get torn to shreds on there.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's lots of things that motivate me, my past, having kids. I thought I was going to be a firefighter. I didn't expect to be here. I thought I was going to be a firefighter and a paramedic for my whole career. That's what I went to college for. That's what my whole early portion of my adult life was geared towards. So I didn't expect to be here. This is a complete surprise to me. So I have fresh legs, per se.
Yeah.
My spirit has not been broken yet. I enjoy what I do and getting better, and just trying to push the envelope a little bit, and just kind of see what happens. I posted the other day, 2021 is wrapping up here soon, and next year's a new year, and at one point, right before I started Snowby Custom Tile, it was the end of 2020, the most tumultuous year of my life, with 3 young kids and COVID and everything going on. And I just bet on myself, and I just urge people to do the same, because you never know what's going to happen. If you bet on yourself, if you're the type of person that grinds and takes things seriously. And, I've always been good at absorbing information, and that's why, being a first responder came easy to me. You have to learn a lot. You're expected to know everything before you step foot, out there and be paid, for your services. Tile's different, not everyone is born into this, or, started doing this. I didn't come out of high school into the trades. I came out of high school as a first responder. Literally, I was already one.
Wow.
And that's what I thought I was going to do. I had that mindset of helping people and of just being as good at what I did as I could, because I didn't want somebody to die because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting that this is a really interesting concept, because oftentimes, I mean, I really, really enjoy talking to people who got into tile a little bit later in life because of their training in other fields. So you're saying that because of your training as a first responder and how you don't have a choice but to take that. I mean, people who don't take life seriously probably don't go into that
right.
career, right?
Right.
Well, and just want to kind of kick back and have an easier,
correct.
Less thinking, less thought process job. So,
well, and the interesting thing about it is that I actually started all my firefighter and EMS training in high school in my 11th and 12th grade years.
Yeah.
So I never had that like party time. Like, it was immediately, let's get down to business, because I want to get out of here. I didn't want to stay in Kenmore and in inner city.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to get out and be successful. So I took it really seriously. And that's the type of career that you don't have a choice but to take it seriously. And if you're not doing it for the right reasons, nobody gets into that for money. You don't make any money. And you're not going to be able to provide a great living for your family unless you become an officer. Yeah. So, I still expected to do that. That's still what I thought I was going to do. And like you said, because I started that so early, when you're a young man, you're being molded and like literally your brain and the way your brain works. And I was so used to having to take it so seriously and absorb knowledge and be able to recall things, because that was what I thought was going to be one of the most important parts of my career, was critical thinking. Like, oh my God, there's a massive accident. People are dying. What do you do?
Yeah.
And you needed to be able to function.
Yeah.
So no matter what I did, I pivoted to construction. And I took it extremely seriously. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do well. I wanted to feel confident about what I was doing, because that's how I felt in EMS and fire. I felt confident. Yeah. I felt good. I felt prepared. And that became important to me, being prepared. So I pivoted to construction. I was a laborer for just an all-around, remodeling company for about 6 months. And then I did some commercial block work with my wife's father, who was a lifelong Mason. And it just really, really blew out my forearms. I had carpal tunnel even before I started tile. So I started tile, and I did tile for 2 years as a helper, and all that grouting and carrying just took its toll. So I pivoted to cooking, and it was literally no different. It was like, okay, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it as good as I can. I immerse myself in whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't care what it is. I'm going to immerse myself in it. I'm going to put the extra time in the morning, in the evening, in between, whenever I can squeeze it in. I'm going to put the extra time in and try to be as good at it as I can. And that's how I became, a higher end level cook. I have no formal training. I just learned by watching chefs. I worked beside, I had chefs on both sides of me, an executive chef and a sous chef, and then the owner of the restaurant. And it was $35 a plate food. So I had, it was sink or swim. I was on the charbroiler and on saute, and it's very fast paced. It's a high energy atmosphere. It's like a dance. It's almost like a choreographed dance. And all these different things are different, but the one thing that I can control is how seriously I take it, my effort. You don't need any talent to have effort, to have determination, to get up early, to go to bed late. You don't have to have talent, to do any of those things. It's all about grit and grind and just wanting it, maybe not even more than anybody else, but for yourself or for people that helped you get where you are. There's a lot of reasons I'm motivated, and that's just kind of what kind of drives me, no matter what it is I'm doing. Now it's tile, And I think it's going to be tile. I think that, this is what I do now.
Do you feel that it's different? I was going to ask you, do you feel that this is different than the previous careers that you've already experienced? Being the business owner and, being able to, I'm sure you're envisioning now, like you started working for a store or your friend who also has a young business, and, your path is kind of limited to move in the direction they're moving. And now your path, I mean, you could go any direction. And since you said you like the art, you already have a history with carpal tunnel and things, I'm sure you're thinking like, okay, let's build it so that I slow down with my output, but increase my value. Are those some of your thoughts, or what are you thinking now for the next, say, 5 years?
So I've been thinking about it because I still do have to manage my forearms,
Sure.
and
Absolutely.
my body quite a bit. And I do the best I can. I wear pro knees, and that helps with some aspects. I wear good shoes. I try to hydrate, as good as I can. And I just try to, at least initially, I was picking and choosing my jobs and allowing myself rest in between to allow my forearms and stuff to kind of, I don't know, heal just a tiny bit. And a lot of guys deal with this, so it's not like it's just me. There's a lot of people going through similar things.
Sure. Yeah.
So, part of me does have an eye towards the future, but I'm still just completely immersed in trying to be the best installer I can be for now. And I will tough through what I have to for the time being. And then I think what I'll do is I'll start thinking about trying to add, a good installer, or, maybe eventually two, and, try to see what happens. But I have such high expectations that I think it would be hard initially for me to allow somebody else to set tile in my name. And I know that sounds weird coming from somebody.
Oh, it's not weird at all. No,
so inexperienced like me. I mean, I could hire somebody that could run circles around me with tile, and that's great. And I would be super appreciative of that and thankful for that, and wouldn't have any problem, with that. But I'm still I have, I'm like this. I have blinders on right now, and I'm making obviously way more money than I've ever made in my life. We're making more money with, than we've ever made combined in my household.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of, we're just kind of taking it as we go, just kind of absorbing it and kind of going with the flow, right now, and kind of seeing, what happens. I think that, scaling our business is something that is going to be important at some point rather. But I think that right now I'm just focusing on quality and building my name and my reputation. And I think that I already charge pretty comparable to what, veteran installers in my area charge. And then I force myself to deliver.
Yeah.
It helps me, but when I put a little bit of, pressure on myself. So I think that it'll be sustainable, because I got really busy for a while, as did we all, especially through the summer. I was working 6-7 days a week, 12 hours a day. It was absolutely brutal. It was nuts. I couldn't turn down the money. And eventually I decided, I got caught up is really what happened. Counters weren't in here, steam shower parts weren't here, there. Things just were all log jammed because of material, sourcing issues for the other trades, not really anything necessarily tile related. It was more, just a culmination of a lot of different things, staffing shortages for GCs that I work for. Right now I'm getting most of my work from builders. I don't have to spend any money really, basically, on advertising. And I do have my own homeowners and clients, but I do a lot of work for local builders and stuff. And I think that I'm getting my price. I'm getting what I want even from them. So I think that I will raise my prices some, work a little bit less, and live very comfortably, and we honestly haven't changed our style, like our style of living, or our like what we haven't really changed a whole lot. Obviously there's business expenses now, but we haven't really changed a whole lot. We're still the same people. we still have the same motivations, and we still have 3 kids that, you know, are watching everything we do, you know.
Yeah, I would
So
encourage, I mean, I'm glad I want to touch on a couple things here. The advertising you brought up, which is interesting. I have something to say. But then, you know, just regarding you're saying you haven't upgraded your lifestyle just because your income's gone up. As a young business owner, and I'm not necessarily talking to you because it seems like you already understand this, but the audience, for all of you that have been in business less than 5 years, your lifestyle should not be being upgraded every time your checks go up. You're still very susceptible to, bankruptcy as a young business. And that's not me being mean. That's just reality. Businesses 5 years and under, they have a very high rate of going bankrupt. And so what Aryk, Aryk, I want to keep.
you can call me Snowby too.
I want to
That's
keep
fine.
calling you Snowby because
That's fine.
it flows off the tongue.
It does, and that's why it's
yeah,
my nickname.
no,
Because
it's
in a
perfect.
high fast paced kitchen, you know, when they need a fillet from Snowby, it's like that, you know.
By the way,
So
what nationality? What's your background with that name?
so Aryk Snowberger is my name. I don't know a ton. I know I have some German. I know I have a lot of American Indian in me, believe it
Oh,
or not,
okay.
and a little bit of Irish and stuff like that. My dad was stationed in Germany in the early '90s in the army, and seen how my name is spelled over there somewhere is the story
Okay.
he gave me.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I got for you on that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, the Snowby, you know, custom tile just comes from, you know, my nickname in the professional kitchens. It's fast paced, high energy. You're pumping out, you know, plates of, you know, beautiful food, and you need to be able to communicate quickly. And the executive chef's name was Aryk. So obviously there's only going to be one Aryk in his
Yeah.
kitchen, so, and it's going to be him. So my Instagram, my email, it's always been Snowby, you know, from the inception, really.
So you didn't have any obstacles into picking your tile name, which I love it. Snowby
No.
Custom Tile. I mean, it's perfect, and that's what I want to say. I mean, I'm standing here talking to you, and you're wearing a sweatshirt with, you know, your brand on it, Snowby Custom Tile. So I wanted to bring this out because you do this with, you know, you have a website and right, and you have your Facebook page, your Instagram is all set out, you know, all branded. You know, obviously you're wearing clothes. I think you have a truck wrapped or with lettering on it.
My truck is plain right now, but I do have, you know, I have business cards. I have signage. You know, I put signs in the lawns that I'm working at. I even went as far as tacking up, you know, signs, decent sized signs on telephone poles.
Nice.
You know, in high traffic areas. I literally boots on the ground, brother.
Yeah,
you know, whatever it took. You know, whatever it took.
What's interesting, and the reason I wanted to kind of drill down on this here is you said a minute ago, like, I don't spend on advertising, but really, you know, you are investing back into the company on things like, you know, the sweatshirt, the business cards, the name, you know,
Right.
all this stuff, because like you said, not that long ago, you said you hustle and you hustle, or you grind. And what a lot of people, the mistake a lot of us make, myself including, is we might grind for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months and feel like, man, we are exactly the same spot we were when we started, and we don't see that ROI. But what you're saying and what you've done and the way you've lived your life is you continue to, you know, bet on yourself, you continue to invest back into yourself. And then what happens at a certain point, and this happens to everybody in business, everybody in life, is you keep putting the investments and keep working towards it. And then at a certain point, you're going to skyrocket, and all of your investments, all of that grinding, all those hours, late night hours you've been spending, you know, and the way you approach social media and the Facebook groups is from what I see and observe, is business first. I mean, you're there to learn or to give back. And that's what I always tell guys. Why are you here if you're not here to do one of two things? Either learn from your peers or give back to the younger peers, or even, you know, help educate some of the older ones who might need it. You know, I mean, as a group, we should be in these groups. Now, I understand, you know, there's a time and place for everything. Some groups have, you know, fun days, fun day Friday, or, whatever, where you can do whatever you want, or maybe the whole group is dedicated. But as a whole, what I see in your attitude is, hey, I'm going to really take this serious. And I mean, that's been the theme of your whole discussion here is, you take life serious. And before we started recording, you said something interesting. I want you to say it again. And you said that you would take photos every day, and then you would go home and scout and look over those photos of your work, so that you could look for improvements, right? Or
That's
ways,
correct.
yeah.
And really the way I look at it is, I look at it like self-scouting, but I also look at it like I'm taking mental reps. Like I obviously I set, if I set a back wall of a shower, I take pictures of it, I go home, and then I go back through it again in my mind. Because let's face it, I'm 30, I have been doing it this long. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm coming to the people that have been doing it for, in some cases, as long as I've been alive. The only way I can possibly do that is by taking mental reps. And I know that might sound silly to some people, but literally I scour over my work. I look for ways I can improve. I look for things that maybe I could have shifted the layout or done this or done that. I don't just draw from my own experiences. I look at other guys' work. I watch videos of other guys working, and I kind of take little bits and pieces from everything and kind of apply all of that together while I'm, looking over my own stuff and just trying to improve. Just trying to improve by, taking the pictures, taking the extra time to get better, quite frankly.
Yeah. As a young father with kids, 3 kids, 8, 6, and 3, how do you balance that and make sure that you're also making time for your family?
It's very difficult. And honestly, it was difficult when I was a cook. It was difficult when really no matter what, dividing your time and feeling like you are giving everybody what they need. At the end of the night, I think about it all the time. And it's just like, it's really impossible to feel like you divided your time completely perfectly at the end of the day. So all you can do, I feel like, is be conscious of it and just make minor adjustments. Think about it like, okay, I organized my truck before dinner yesterday, so maybe tonight I'll do it after the kids go to bed. It's really just being conscious, and being aware. Sometimes people are just so lost in everything that's going on, and they're not present. And it's like, so I try to just look at it like, I can't be perfect. My wife can't be perfect. We beat ourselves up about keeping this house clean, keeping the business where it needs to be, keeping these kids, listening and on task, and keeping up with their schoolwork and their hygiene. And it's very difficult, and everybody struggles with it. Everybody, especially since COVID, no excuses, but it's certainly made things, more complicated. I think one way that's helped is by including my kids. I don't look at it like this is me and my wife's business. This is a family business. Every single person in this house's last name is Snowberger. And this company is called Snowby Custom Tile, and that's based off of my last name. So I have a lot of pride, that comes along with that, which is why I decided when I went from cooking to tile to keep my nickname and turn that into my business name. So I include my kids. I tell them what I'm doing today. I tell them what me and mommy did today now. I show them pictures. I take them to job sites. I buy them shirts and hoodies and even their own personalized kid shirts. I include them. I make them feel like they're part of this thing too. We're growing this thing together. And really cool. That's been one of the most rewarding parts of it, to be honest. So, my kids have sports. My son has his first wrestling practice tonight. So, that'll be exciting. It's really about just taking a little time, when you can. How was your day? When they wake up in the morning, I ask them, I always ask them, how did you sleep last night? That's kind of from my medical background, but, talk to them, include them, make them feel like they're part of this thing too. And be transparent with them. We're transparent with our kids. We
Yeah.
don't hide things from them. We don't go to our room to talk about finances, stuff like that. Like, this is the real world. We're getting these kids ready for the
Yeah.
real world. You can't do that by sheltering them. Not
Right.
these days. They
Right.
need to know what's going on. They need to see us going through stuff. They need to
Yeah.
see us fail. They need to see us do well.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see everything in between.
I love it.
All of that's important. So I think that that's how we've done it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure everybody would agree with the way we do things, but I think that that's the best way to go about it, because we're here to teach. I'm a tile guy, but my main job is to get my kids ready for the real
For
world.
life. Yeah.
And I do that by just grinding it out, man. And they see it. They've
Mm-hmm.
seen it every day. I
Mm-hmm.
don't give there's no other way. There's no other choice. All they see is what I show them. And if me and mom too. And this is not just me. I wouldn't be where I am,
Yeah.
without my wife. And what she brings to the table, is very important. And the things that she's, kind of bringing into the business even now,
Yeah.
are huge.
How long ago did she join the business, and tell me about that decision and why you made that, and then how it's going?
So she was working in the hospital and pharmacy. That's what she's, always done.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the COVID stuff, that's become a little bit more complicated, and
Mm-hmm.
all the red tape and this and that. And I had gotten so busy, that I was making more money than both of us have ever made combined.
Mm-hmm.
This is tile money, and I'm not, we hadn't made a ton of money,
Sure.
before.
Sure.
You don't
Yeah.
make a lot of money cooking or in
Sure.
public safety, but
Yeah.
um, all of a sudden we were making more money than ever. And I'm like, look, you got to come work with me and let's capitalize on this thing. My wife, this woman, she is leaning forward all the time. She walks with her head out in front of her. She has a purpose. No matter what she's doing, she's on a
Mm-hmm.
mission. She works hard. And I knew that if she came to work, with the company, instead of just being part of it, being part of the support system, because Snowby wouldn't be where it is even before she joined us if it wasn't for her, picking up the slack at home and with
Mm-hmm.
the 3 kids, and just being there to support me, saying, look, I trust you, and that's huge, to have the trust of your spouse and the
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
So she works with me now for the last 2 months. It started off as, look, you're going to come, work with me if you want to. And I really didn't give her much of a choice, to be quite frank. I told her, look, we got to do this. Let's do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And it's really going amazing. I mean, she's made me so much more efficient. We've been together for 11 years. We
Mm-hmm.
have 3 kids. We know each other inside and out.
Yeah.
She can compliment me when I need her to, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
She knows how I'm feeling, when I'm feeling it. And those are some of the things that I didn't even factor in. I thought, she's going to help make me more efficient. She's going to, be an extra set of hands. I mean, gosh, how many times do you need something that you don't have right with you? Or, there's just so many things that go on a job site, where having an extra body,
Mm-hmm.
is so huge. And, obviously hiring my wife, it was a no-brainer. We have the same goals in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the same team anyhow. We're working towards the same things.
Yeah.
We have the same motivations in large part. I can trust her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about her stealing my tools or calling off to go work on a side job, or who knows what. Everybody on here knows there's so many things you deal with, with having employees. I have a partner. I don't have an
Sure.
employee.
Sure.
I have a partner in life and in business. And honestly, I couldn't ask for more. And, I think it's interesting because there's so many things that I didn't think about, as far as how this would benefit my business. And immediately, we all know it. Let's face it, we deal with the wives, right? How often do we deal with the husbands on these job sites?
Right.
The wives get what they want. It's their bathrooms, it's
Sure.
their kitchens. And my wife being able to go in and be another female that likes coffee and wine and, drama
She can
TV
connect.
shows, and
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
can connect, you know,
Yeah.
with the most personal, you know, at the most basic levels rather, you know, and kind of shift it away from business and make it more personable. We want these people to feel comfortable with us, you know, being in their home. And it all starts with that, you know, how do we present ourselves? How do we carry ourselves? You know,
Mhm.
our how do we look? You know, how does our vehicles look? You know, all those things are very important. And I don't have to worry about any of that with my wife because I know that she is going to do and say and act, you know, the best way for our business. So
Yeah. Yeah.
really it's been amazing. And you know, I can tell right from the very beginning the comfortability of the female homeowners, and being able to, my wife, you know, the homeowner says, oh wow, I really like this, I like how this looks together, and my wife she's just a yes man. Like literally just be a hype man, you
Oh,
know,
you got to be the hype.
you
Somebody's
know
got
what
to
I mean,
hype. Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
tell the tell the homeowner you love it too, this and that and the other, and next thing you know, the homeowner loves it even more because we love it, you know, and
Sure.
it's
Sure.
infectious.
It is.
And
It really is.
next thing you know, they're calling you back to do the powder room, and they're telling their you know, sister-in-law about you, and you know, whatever it takes. You know, the guys I learned from, it was all word of mouth, you know, all old money, you know, plain white vans. They didn't have their stuff wrapped. They didn't want people, just anyone
Right.
calling them. Let's
Right.
face it, you know,
Yep. Yep.
at the elk that they were, I'm obviously not, you know, anywhere near there yet.
Wrapped.
Yeah, so I don't have my truck wrapped, and I think that I might, you know, at some point, but I just haven't needed it, you know, necessarily thus far. But it's something I
Yeah.
may do to help promote, you know, and help build my brand, because I do feel passionate about that. And that was one thing I thought when I decided to name my company this, is it's different. There is passion and a purpose behind it, but it's different. Hexagon is huge in tile right
Mhm.
now. You know, bees are kind of too big right now too. I mean, they're very
That's true.
important.
That's
They're
true.
very important as
No,
well.
no, you're right. You're right. It's a perfect brand.
So
Now, you know, they say the best way to learn is actually to teach. In other words, you know, you can read a book, but then if you go around, if you tell somebody about that book, in other words, teach them. So, you know, you're young in the business. You know, you're scouring the internet. Plus, you're relying on your early apprenticeship. But now you've got your wife in the mix every single day. I'm sure she's with you, and being that she comes from a pharmaceutical background, I'm sure it's 100 questions every day, right? What has that done for you? Because in my mind, that would just cement your knowledge and also make you question some things too, like, oh yeah, why am I doing this again? And I need to explain it. You know, so can you tell me anything, thoughts on
sure.
that?
So she does ask questions sometimes. I
Hmm.
think that mainly she just watches very intently, you know,
Okay.
the same way that I did, you know, when
Okay.
I was learning. But you're right. I mean, when I do take the time oftentimes to explain to her automatically why I'm doing what I'm doing, just so that she kind of understands, you know,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
whys, and
Hmm.
just to help, you know, make us stronger, you know,
Nice.
overall, you know, because now
Yeah.
we have four eyes on it. You know, there was the other day I missed a spacer, you know, a little U spacer on a subway tile wall, and she caught it and pointed it out, and I was able to get the spacer in there and make sure we were. I mean, this is our most expensive shower to date, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure they're getting what they're paid for, and she's helping with that, and she is learning quickly. She she's got a lot to learn still, obviously. She's just now starting to kind of make some cuts for me, you know, and stuff like that, especially with the soft ceramic tiles and the stuff that's a little bit more, you know, easy to deal with. So the sky's really the limit, because she's already made me much more efficient.
Yeah.
She's already helped out so much on the customer relations side of things. We're getting projects done faster than ever. And let's face it, I mean, I've only been doing it a couple years, so I'm only going to get better and faster, as will
Sure.
she.
Sure.
It is slowing me down, though. I mean, I did kind of talk to her about it at dinner the other night. You know, I noticed that once she leaves to go pick up the kids and I stay for a couple more hours, I tend to get a lot more tile on the wall. And I was like, you know, don't take it personally. I'm like, I'm used to setting tile by myself for the 1 year, you
Sure.
know, that I've been doing it. I have a
Sure.
system. It's, let's face it, it's a lot of times not very spacious inside these showers, or
Sure. Yeah.
bathrooms in some
Yeah.
cases. And I was just like, taking the time to explain things, and this, that, and the other, and to make sure the things that I have you off doing are being done up to snuff. It slows us down a little bit, but it kind of equals out when she helps me set up and tear down, and grout and get water and all the different things that need to happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, to be fair, for me, and I think a lot of people feel the same way, it's not until about 3-4 o'clock to where you really get into the zone, and that last 20% of the day, the last 2-3 hours are when you actually get, for me anyway, you're warmed up, you get the most work done. But you know what this is, Aryk, is it's a great learning opportunity, because every apprentice that you train from here on out, it's going to be the same way. It's going to slow you down. So you need to now adjust your numbers from not just Aryk to Aryk with an apprentice, or frankly, in the future, when you hire, let's say you apprentice somebody or hire an installer and they have an apprentice, they're going to be even slower than you and your wife, because it's not their name on the business, right? So those are just realities of every business, I think, in every trade or every, business, category is, when you're training someone, you slow down. When you have employees, they're not going to do it as necessarily as efficiently as the owner.
Right.
And there are some tricks, we could talk about to do that, some bonuses, piece rate type stuff to kind of motivate people. But it's just interesting that you're catching all this very early in your career. And I want to commend you for, this has been a dynamite conversation. You're inspiring. You're going to inspire a lot of younger guys. Just the story. Hey, hustle, go get it, and don't stop.
That's right.
And you did mention that you were working for mostly builders. It sounds like at this point. I do want to encourage you to keep. You're already on this path, so you don't really need this advice that much. But to keep your, you never want your eggs in one basket. So I would say somebody like you and your wife, the fact that homeowners like working with you. I mean, you start mixing in one job a month directly to a homeowner, you're gonna be able to raise your prices. You cut out the middleman. You're gonna be able to, your value goes up because they're looking for somebody to help them. With a remodel, all of a sudden they had a failure or whatever the case is. So, make sure you don't just get too comfortable. And I don't think you're the type that will. I mean, you're still early.
And the one interesting part too is one of the builders I do quite a bit of work for. He actually just gives the homeowner that he'll do a full addition, and he'll say, "Here's the tile guy that you should go with's number."
Right.
And then the office lady gives me that customer's number as well. And I literally deal with, so I'm basically hired by the customer, and I work on, the GC, one of the GC anyways. This is how it works with one of them on their job. So I'm able to fully represent myself and make my own prices. And, I do with all the GCs I work with anyhow, but I definitely get what you're saying. I definitely still post on, I've gotten a lot of work from the local buy here, sell here pages.
Right.
And, repeat customers and, stuff like that. But it's been a beautiful thing because there's several builders in my area, even with all of the quality tile installers that are in my area. Every guy I see on job sites, from other trades says, man, there's just not enough good tile guys. And I'm telling you, man, I'm here to slip right into that void, for however many years I can. And I started making this type of money, and I can put my family in a better position, and I'm not relinquishing it, man. I'm not letting it go. I don't ever want to go back to just getting by, ever again. So it's easy to be motivated to keep doing this and keep building my brand. And,
and I love that tile is really the better option financially for you than all these, these multiple other careers. Even like you said, two people working two separate jobs, you're 2 years in and you're already doing better with the tile installation industry but it's because of how serious you took it. It's, you know, and yes, we're in a very good time, but good for you for recognizing, hey, I have an opportunity here.
Right.
Everybody wants tile contractors and you know, construction workers in general. Let me fit in, let me build my brand, let me hustle hard, and establish something that you can continue to build on year after year, and you're going to do great, man. I love that. You know, what a great story. I'm, you know, I'm really thrilled that you, again, you know, reached, you know, agreed to be on the podcast today, short last minute.
Yeah.
And we've had a great discussion.
And it's amazing too, because I actually had arguably my most successful day setting tile today with
Nice.
as many walls, and I got a curb up, and I got a lot of work done today, and it was the quickest and most efficient work I've done to date. And I take note of that. You know, I don't take any of these days for granted. I don't, oh, it was just another day setting tile. You know, I look at it like I got better today than I did yesterday. And I kind of strive for that to an extent. I know it's cliche, but it is what it is, you know. So it's fun, you know. When I looked on Facebook, I seen that you had posted it. It gave me a notification on my phone, and I was like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe I can squeeze this in too. And it's just amazing. I'm having fun, you know, and that's one of the beautiful things about it is I'm enjoying it. You know, there's some drawbacks, you know, it can be stressful. There's a lot of expectations that comes with this type of money. But if you're not pushing yourself, you know, I'm not one to be complacent. I don't want to just, you know, be all mundane and just kind of get by. You know, I kind of want to keep moving, you know, keep having something to work for. And right now it's just trying to get as good as the people that I surrounded myself with. And I've got a lot of work to do. So I do appreciate you having me on, and, you know, everybody's kind words and everybody's help. There's been so many people, you know, I have a dozen names written down. I mean, there's so many people that I owe, you know, a thank you, because I reach out and say, hey, how would you do this? How would you do that? And just everyone's been so gracious. It reminds me of the firehouse, to be quite frank. I didn't expect there to be much of a family atmosphere, to be honest. It wasn't like that in trades when I worked in trades in the past. So I do feel like, at least in Northeast Ohio, I know that things can get a little bit vicious on the groups sometimes, but behind the scenes, I think that there's more people coming together than we think. And I think that it's awesome, because I think we're working towards a certain standard, you know, between the NTCA stuff and, you know, all of that, where, you know, hopefully we get all of us on the same page and working up to a certain standard, making a certain type of money. And that's what I want to be part of. I don't want to just be part of some floundering or average trade. I look at us like, look, man, we're not electricians. We have brooms, right? You know, we clean up after ourselves. We're not drywallers. You know, I take it seriously.
You take pride. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
you know,
that.
and my wife feels it. My kids feel it. What's that going to do for them? You know what I mean? How are they going to approach things in life when they see mom and dad approach things the way they do? It's simple for me. It's the only way. It's the only way to go about it. Tile just happens to be what I'm putting my energy towards right now. And I do enjoy it. This is what I want to do. This is what I think is going to be. I think this is it. I think that everything I've done in the past, it was for a reason, or whatever you want to say. You know, there's a reason that I'm here. I didn't expect to be here, but the things I've gone through and done in the past have shaped me, you know, into being able to be a successful business owner early on, you know. And I told you, my daughter asked me the other night, you know, can anybody have a tile business like you? And I said, no, because there's no other me. I'm the only Aryk. There's no other one. It's just me and my wife. And, you know, I'm like your mom, like the things me and your mom have done and gone through and seen and accomplished together. That's what makes this company what it is. So I was like, no, nobody else can have a tile company just like me. It doesn't mean they can't have a wildly successful company. Doesn't mean that there's not a dozen guys in Northeast Ohio that can tile circles around me. But I'm doing things the way I think is best, and it's going well so far. And I'm just thankful. I'm appreciative. I'm humbled. And I'm ready to go back to work tomorrow and do it again,
That's great.
because the only way to go from here is up, plain and simple. There's tons of people that can be, they can motivate, people, out there. I'm not special. I just work hard. Like
Yeah.
I said, it doesn't.
Oh, I lost you again.
So
You work hard, and what'd you say?
I said, like I said earlier, sorry, somebody tried to call me. It doesn't take talent to work hard,
Yeah.
and to show up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can control your attitude on a daily basis,
Yeah.
so it's all about how you're going to deal with things that are in front of you, and how are you going to go at them, and, what are you going to do? It's been so crazy, with COVID and, with being new to business, and there's been a lot of challenges. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of time spent, after hours, like I said, trying to learn and get better, and it's all worth it,
Yeah.
and if there's anybody out there that's a young guy, like me, that's newer to this, just keep working hard. Don't think you're going to know it all. Like I did. Surround yourself with people. It doesn't even have to be local guys. It can be anyone. If you can see, we all have eyes. We watch
Right.
the Olympics and see these people that are best at what they do in the world.
Yeah.
It's no different. Go find guys that install quality tile up to standards. Ask questions, pick their brains,
Yeah.
look at the way they do things, take little bits and pieces. That's how I became good at cooking. Was taking a little bit of how this chef does it and that chef does it. Go on YouTube. How do these chefs do it? Pull it all together, and that's how Snowby does it. And it's really not that more complicated than that. It's simple.
That's great, man. I love that this has been such a great conversation. I mean, you're a young guy, you're a young contractor, but what you've said in this hour, you've given us gems, things that 60-year-old people will think about and take and apply in their lives. Your attitude and your outlook on life and business and family life is just beautiful, brother. Keep being you. Keep sharing. I'm excited to watch, your where you're going to take this from here. I'm excited to watch your business grow. I'm excited to meet you in person.
Me too.
I'm certainly glad that you're in this tile brotherhood and sisterhood that we have and we're building. And you're right. It's not common. I'm not saying other trades or other organizations don't have a brotherhood. Like you said, the firefighters are very well known for it. But it's not common in the trades to have people that, we really are a family. I mean, I've been on the internet since 2008. And back then, for a decade, I just read. All I did was read. But guess what? I'm still reading from some of the same people that I was reading from in 2008. I didn't voice. Nobody knew who I was until like 2018, 19, when I started voicing. And then, of course, I came out in a large way with this podcast and everything. But for years, I read. And all of these guys, I mean, I saw it. I didn't understand. I knew it was something special, but until Tile Money happened and I started showing up to the physical events like coverings, and I just got back from Total Solutions Plus, that's when you really experience the true brotherhood, the true family feeling, because you make friends and you just continue to strengthen those relationships and build new ones. So like I said, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person and hanging out. But yeah, thank you so much again. I want to be respectful. We've been going about an hour. I know you have wrestling tonight, right?
Yep. First
right.
one. He's so excited too. And again, thank you for the support. I feel it. I need it. I love it. Let's all be great. That's what I say all the time, to people I care about or don't even know. Let's be great. Why not? There's enough for us to all eat and all do great things. Last thing I wanted to say is there a way we can get a list together of all those events? Because every time one comes up, I obviously, being so new to this, I don't know about any of them, and I don't even know where to look for postings about upcoming events. And I want to be able to come to some of these and start networking and meeting some of these people that have been influential to me, and learn and pick brains and develop relationships. And so I think if we can get somehow, I'm not putting necessarily on you per se, but there's got to be somebody where we can get all the things that are going to happen in 2022 and get a list so that we can get more people to these things. People can plan ahead. I'm going to Florida next month. I would have reworked things if I would have known.
Sure. Sure. Where are you going? Tampa or?
I'm going to the Forgotten Coast on Alligator Point.
Oh, okay.
It'll be our first family vacation. My wife and kids have never been to the ocean.
Cool.
I went to Ocean City, Maryland when I was like 9, but I've really never been to the real ocean besides that. And
you guys
we're looking forward to it. We're going for Christmas for a whole week over Christmas time.
Cool.
To the beach, right on the beach. Our house is on the beach, and we're gonna make some memories and have a great time, and we're really looking forward to that. I've actually been in contact with some of the Florida guys on some of our pages with just advice and
what is that down by the Everglades? Where is that? Forgotten Point?
It's right by Tallahassee. It's like in between Destin and Tallahassee.
Oh, okay,
up in that
there.
Upper kind of curve there.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah. Well, you're gonna love that. I'm south of there. I'm south of Tampa, but that's like a whole 8 hours, I think. Something.
Yeah.
No,
it's a drive. Funny. It's 15 hours for us from Ohio.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the, where are all these trade shows and when are they? I was actually thinking of, in fact, somebody requested that I do a 10-minute, I'm going to do this 10-minute video, maybe a little longer, that talks about the difference between the three main trade shows we have right now are Surfaces, Coverings, and Total Solutions Plus. And then we have Mud, which we're scheduling. I'm scheduling that with Mario. That's going to be back in Idaho. That's going to be in August, I believe. But I'm going to come out with all this information either this week or next week. And I think what I'll do is I'll just put a page on my website for these events. And the other thing I should tell you in the audience to do is the NTCA has traveling roadshow. They have trade shows. They're going to have over 100, maybe over 200 next year. They had a lot of them this year, and they're adding to their trainers. They're on the road trainers. So if you go to the tile-assn.com or the National Tile Contractors Association website and go look for that roadshow schedule. And, you can sign up for their weekly emails, which I think every week they send you and tell you where they're going to be, or you can look at their calendar, which is on the internet, tile-assn.com, and look for the National Tile Contractors Roadshow, because a lot of times, like you said, that might be in Akron or somewhere close, that you would drive to, but you just don't know about it. So make sure you're aware of that. Because that's kind of changing, and sometimes the schedule gets reworked, especially in this day and age. But the big ones are all scheduled, and certainly I'm happy to do a quick video, and I'll make maybe a blog post about it. Maybe that would be the easiest way, outlining 2022's. But no, I'm happy to do that. I was already thinking about doing it because you're right, and there's gonna be some larger ones and some smaller ones. And then there's always going to be one or two we miss or that just pop up organically, right? That's what's really fun. I really like seeing like the Colorado crew. They have a Facebook page, and they're starting to get together just for like dinner once a month. And it kind of sounds like you guys up in Ohio, are staying close to one another also. Do you have any organic little like meetups with the contractors or?
So Robert Engel at Classic Tile, he came to one of my job sites and brought me lunch, and we talked tile for a couple of hours. And it was kind of funny when we walked downstairs for him to leave, at the end of the visit, and I hadn't gotten anything done, and I just told the homeowner, like, look, this is as important as anything else I would have done today. So yeah, just understand, that. But no, and then there's Paul. There's been a couple of guys who it's awesome. I mean, they've reached out and sent work my way because I guess they respect me enough to know that I'm going to do it the best I can, and in a good way for the name of their company too. I guess I'm almost kind of representing them in a sense. I take it personally in that way, like I'm still kind of representing their company as well as my own. So there's been some good little organic things like that where they just couldn't handle all the work, coming their way. So they threw some my way. But no, I think that I think we ought to reach out to each other and try to get a dinner going.
I would encourage you and all my audience, if you're somebody, that wants to organize a meetup, and it doesn't have to be huge, just put it 30 days out and say, hey, we're going to get together at this, at this burger joint or pizza place. You could reach out to a couple industry reps if you want, or not, it might be kind of cool to, invite a different rep every month, or a couple different ones.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be about tile. That's the beautiful thing about it.
The beautiful thing about it is business is relationships and life in general. And tile is going to naturally come up. You don't have to force it, just get together and get to know one another, because that's really what's going to drive your business. Is if you have a better relationship with your local contractors, as well as your local representatives of the companies you use and or curious about, because that's what it's all about. And that's the beautiful thing I've learned, like Total Solutions Plus. I mean, yes, tile comes up a lot, obviously, but more or less people kind of want to know where you're from and where you're going and what drives you. I mean, that's what made this conversation super interesting, your background and, your values, you shared some of your values. I really enjoyed that. And this has been great, man. Appreciate it, Aryk.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, you get out there, enjoy your son's wrestling tonight and the wife and the other kids, and enjoy it, brother. Sounds like you will. All right. Take it easy.
You too.
All right. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, tile friends, I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Aryk just brought so much spirit and life, and I really didn't have to say much because he did a lot of the talking, which I love as a podcaster. He makes my job easy, and the things he was sharing, really, I had trouble stopping him at points, because there were just a lot of value in his insights and his energy, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This is one I'm going to be listening to again in the future. If you want to stay in touch with Tile Money, all things Tile Money, make sure that you're getting our newsletter. We email that typically on Thursdays, once in a while on Fridays if I can't make a Thursday. The link is in the show notes, or you can visit tilemoney.com to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. Like Aryk was saying, sometimes he doesn't want to miss out on the shows. I will be putting all the information about the trade shows on a blog, and I'll typically be putting them in the email newsletter 3 to 6 weeks before the trade show happens. So this is how you can stay in touch. And Tile Money from time to time has some offerings, like some business mastermind classes, things of this nature. We're going to be doing some get-togethers. Sometimes it's limited, so you definitely want to stay in touch with all things Tile Money by signing up for our weekly newsletter. All right, tile friends, until next week, stay positive out there, and by all means, stay profitable. Talk to you next week, friends. Take it easy.